Welcome all, Dax here. 2022 is halfway over, and while there have been more than a few great games so far, there is a feeling among many gamers that there just isn't much to be excited for during the second half of this year. While several big games like Breath of the Wild 2 and Starfield have been delayed into 2023, I believe there is still a lot to be excited for. Here's a list of awesome games coming in the second half of this year, and in no particular order, so if you see a game you're looking forward to on this list, make sure you leave me a like and a comment. First up, we have Splatoon 3. I'm not much of a Splatoon player myself, but I've always admired the confidence and style of this franchise. Being the third installment, it does look that they've gotten the basic mechanics down to a science while offering a few new modes. Going forward, many of the titles on this list aren't part of any franchises, but the ones that are definitely seem to be iterative installments that add on to everything its predecessor did right. If you're like me and you haven't really ever clicked with Splatoon in the past, now might be a good time to give it another try. And to those of you who are existing fans, I have a hard time seeing Splatoon 3 not being great. The Last of Us Part 1. This title has a wide array of opinions surrounding it for sure, and to be honest, I had a mixture of different thoughts and feelings myself since it first was announced. $70 for a quote-unquote old game is a little too steep for many, but when you think of it in terms of being a ground-up remake, it makes a little more sense. I still don't like the $70 price tag, but that's more of a Sony thing, not so much of a Last of Us thing. I do think a lot of players were also understandably put off by this being remade so soon, considering how well the original holds up today, especially when most remakes are saved for much older and dated titles. For me personally, I never finished the first game due to finding the gameplay to be a little stale, and so initially I was like, whatever. But considering that they're using, from what I hear, to be the more refined and engaging gameplay of the sequel, while keeping the more universally beloved story of the original, I actually may give it a try, especially once it goes on sale. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this remake, if you have any. A carryover from my 2022 list earlier in the year, Hogwarts Legacy is ramping up the hype levels leading up to its current release date in October. Legacy takes place during the 1800s, well before the events of the books, with the beloved Hogwarts school itself at the center of things. Players will have their own created characters thrown into the wizarding world as a student that must balance school responsibilities with emerging threats and mysteries. Separating the art from the artist, I'm personally not a massive Harry Potter fan, but I have seen all the movies and have always thought to myself how great this universe could lend itself to the medium of video games outside of specific movie tie-in material. I can't wait for October to finally get here so I can get sorted into my house. Hey Sega, can we please make a good Sonic game? If it wasn't for these nostalgic, loving 90s children, Sonic would be long dead by now, with how many mediocre entries have been pumped out. So, hopefully for the sake of Sonic, Frontiers is good. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing for sure. Speed seems to be the name of the game here, which is an essential requirement for any sort of good Sonic game. I've seen gameplay and I'm not 100% sure what to make of all of it, but I am excited to give it a try. There does seem to be a great mixture of classic Sonic staples as well as some unique gameplay elements I haven't seen before. Graphics seem a little on the weak side for being a PS5 and Series game, but I will say Sonic Frontiers comes across as unique, and much like Elden Ring, unique is refreshing. So I am looking forward to giving it a try, and if it's any good, you should too. Like many games, Forspoken didn't initially interest me due to my skeptical attitude towards announcements showing so little, but as I've seen a little bit more, I have liked what I've seen here. I don't have a whole lot of opinion on the story as of yet, but what we do know is that the protagonist Frey is seemingly plucked out of New York and thrown into the fantasy land of Athia? I think that's how you say that. Very much a fish out of water story that sets up the exploration of this world through the perspective of Frey. Where I personally get excited is in the gameplay. Frey interacts with the world with magic for both traversal and combat, The combat here seems to be more aggressive yet dynamic compared to many other uses of magic systems in other games. Traversal also has a few neat ideas like ice skating on water or magic parkour gliding up the sides of buildings. If you enjoy open world narrative games, fantasy settings, or Square Enix games, then this may be worth a go. I love a good Batman game like anyone else, but I am excited to explore the universe of Batman without him, at least on this one. As the player, you get to swap around between Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Hood, and Robin, each having a unique skill set to deal with combat and traversal. Like any good superhero game, there is a selection of different outfits to wear while fighting crime, but somewhat less common, the gear here actually affects your stats and possibly your approach. One of the unique aspects of this title is the use of co-op, which low-key takes my brain to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for some reason. Now that I think about it, even the characters do too. Nightwing would be your Leo, Red Hood is easily Raphael, and I guess that would leave Batgirl as Donatello and Robin as Michelangelo? You can just disregard that dumb comparison, but either way, Gotham Knights should be a fun time, with or without a friend. If you love cats, I have the game for you. Stray seems to expertly capture the essence and movements of your furry roommates, as it should for being a cat game. The setting is immediately intriguing and has me asking a lot of questions, like where are all the humans? Are we on Earth? Are there other cats? And what's up with that backpack? Being the smallest title on this list, it's hard to say all of what you can do, but there's a few things we can expect, like an assortment of appropriate cat activities like platforming, investigating, stealth, and the always important yet pointless knocking over of objects. Even if you're not much of a cat person in real life, I feel there is enough charm and potential in the gameplay worth exploring here. Lord of the Rings Gollum will hopefully come out sometime this year, but if I'm being honest, out of all the titles on this list, this one seems the most likely to get delayed due to not saying a whole lot at this point. If it does make it out this year, we will have a chance to experience the beloved world of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth from the unique perspective of Gollum. We still don't know a lot about what Gollum has to offer on a gameplay level, but I can assume that there will be a lot of climbing and stealth to get the precious back. And Gandalf's in the game. Since we still don't know a lot, I just keep imagining a Splinter Cell game taking place in Middle-earth starring Agent Gollum. So make sure you keep your eyes out for any news surrounding the Lord of the Rings Gollum. 3 Pokemon games in the span of 12 months, Pokemon fans are eating real well about now. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet mark the start of the 9th generation. These titles seem to be mixing elements from both Legends Arceus and the more traditional entries. Battling and catching mechanics seem to be pulled directly out of Legends, with the story and format playing it a little more on the safe side. It's hard to say how open the world is going to be, but it does appear to be more in line with the Arceus as far as like having sectioned off portions of the map. I am interested with the game taking place in what's the equivalent of Spain to see what the gimmick is this time around, as well as more in-depth locations. The 3 starters shown off do seem promising, at least as long as we're not getting any bipedal final evolutions. I think we'll be good. Like all the other games on this list, we won't have to wait too long to find out. God of War Ragnarok is easily the biggest game on this list, and rightfully so after all the critical acclaim of the 2018 reboot. We've seen little to this point, but being a direct sequel, much of what's loved about the original is almost guaranteed to be present here. These type of sequels are always exciting due to having rock-solid foundations, but with the mystery of what's new this time around. I still have yet to play the first one, but I'm definitely going to finish it within the next couple months here before the sequel arrives, and what most are projecting to be sometime in November. I recently watched the documentary God of War Raising Kratos, and have become even more excited to play a sequel for a game I haven't even played, so if I don't like it, I'm probably going to cry. 2022 started out with some bangers all lumped together, and while much of the middle portion of this year has been rather quiet for new releases, the end of the year does look rather promising even without your Breath of the Wild 2 and Starfield. What games are you looking forward to most during the second half of 2022? Did I leave any off? If you like my video, please leave me a like and leave a comment. And as always, I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, see ya!